Well, hello, you, my favorite people. It's Kesha, so welcome and welcome back. And we are ready for our next reading in the Aquarian Gospel. Before we get started, of course, let us take a moment for our centering meditation. So let's just close our eyes. Deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. On your next inhale, just collect all of the parts of yourself that you've left in different places with different people throughout the week, throughout the day. And feel all of you coming back to you. All of you that is necessary, being cleansed through the ethers as it centers back onto self. Keep breathing. When you feel yourself whole, on the next deep breath in, feel it all melding together. So no longer disparate parts, loosely joined, but you are now one singular whole. Feel your strength rising, your power collecting at your center. Your mind clear. And your heart open. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and we'll begin. If that's not the best part of my week, I don't know what is. We'll get this right here. Okay. So we're going to start with chapter 21. We've now moved into the section of Jesus' life and works in India. Chapter 21. A royal prince of India, Ravana of Orissa in the south, was at the Jewish feast. Ravana was a man of wealth, and he was just, and with a band of Brahmic priests sought wisdom in the west. When Jesus stood among the Jewish priests and read and spoke, Ravana heard and was amazed. When he asked who Jesus was, from whence he came and what he was, Chief Hillel said, "We call this child the day star from on high, for he has come to bring men a light, the light of life, to lighten up the way of men and to redeem his people, Israel." And Hillel told Ravana all about the child, about the prophecies concerning him, about the wonders of the night when he was born, about the visit of the Magian priests, about the way in which he was protected from the wrath of evil men, about his flight to Egypt land, and how he then was serving with his father as a carpenter in Nazareth. Ravana was entranced and asked to know the way to Nazareth, that he might go and honor such a one as Son of God. And with his gorgeous train he journeyed on the way and came to Nazareth of Galilee. He found the object of his search engaged in building dwellings for the sons of men. And when he first saw Jesus, he was climbing up a 12-step ladder, and he carried in his hands a compass, square, and axe. Ravana said, "All hail, most favored Son of Heaven." And at the inn, Ravana made a feast for all the people of the town, and Jesus and his parents were the honored guests. For certain days, Ravana was a guest in Joseph's home on Marmion Way. He sought to learn the secret of the wisdom of the sun, but it was all too great for him. And then he asked that he might be a patron of the child, might take him to the east where he could learn the wisdom of the Brahms. And Jesus longed to go that he might learn, and after many days his parents gave consent. Then, with proud heart, Ravana with his train began the journey towards the rising sun. And after many days they crossed the Sind and reached the province of Orissa and the palace of the prince. The Brahmic priests were glad to welcome home the prince. With favor they received the Jewish boy. And Jesus was accepted as a pupil in the temple of Jagannath. And here he learned the Vedas and the Manic laws. The Brahmic masters wondered at the clear conceptions of the child, and often were amazed when he explained to them the meaning of the laws. Among the priests of Jagannath was one who loved the Jewish boy. Lamas Brahmas was the name by which this priest was known. One day, as Jesus and Lamas walked alone in Plaza Jagannath, Lamas said, "My Jewish master, what is truth?" And Jesus said, "Truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the world there are two things. The one is truth, the other is falsehood. And truth is that which is, and falsehood that which seems to be. Now truth is aught, and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is not, and yet it is the manifest of aught. Whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifest of aught, are not, and so must pass away. The things we see are but reflexes just appearing. While the ethers vibrate so and so, and when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth, is that which was and is and evermore shall be. It cannot change nor pass away." Lamas said, You answer well. Now, what is man?" And Jesus said, "Man is the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is the breath made flesh, so truth and falsehood are conjoined in him. And then they strive, and naught goes down, and man as truth abides." Again, Lamas asked, "What do you say of power?" And Jesus said, "It is a manifest. It is the result of force. It is but not. It is illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. Force is the will of God and is omnipotent, and power is that will in manifest, directed by the breath. There is power in the winds, a power in the waves, a power in the lightning stroke, a power in the human arm, a power in the eye. The ethers cause these powers to be, and thought of Elohim, of angel, man, or other thinking thing, directs the force. When it has done its work, the power is no more." Again, Lamas asked, "Of understanding, what have you to say?" And Jesus said, "It is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the ought and of the not, of falsehood and of truth. It is the knowledge of the lower self, the sensing of the powers of man himself." And again, Lamas asked, "Of wisdom, what do you say?" And Jesus said, "It is the consciousness that man is aught, that God and man are one. That naught is not, that power is but illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not above, around, below, but in, which in the light of aught becomes the not, and God is all." Lamas asked, "Pray, what is faith?" And Jesus said, "Faith is the surety of the omnipotence of God and man, the certainty that man will reach deific life. Salvation is the ladder reaching from the heart of man to the heart of God. It has 3 steps. Belief is the first. And this is what man thinks, perhaps, is truth. And faith is next, and this is what man knows is truth. Fruition is the last, and this is man himself, the truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition faith is lost, and man is saved when he has reached deific life, when he and God are one." I think I'm going to stop there, just because My goodness, that is a lot. That's a lot of teaching. I mean, if we were only to just concentrate on those lessons, that's a lifetime. And I mean, I don't know that I'm going to catch all of this when I go back now, but yeah, that's a lot. So we get Jesus meeting Ravana, who then takes him to India. I love that Ravana sees him and then wants to like put him in his pocket and spirit him away. And again, we get the reiteration that Jesus lives on Marmion Way. It's kind of cool just to think that, you know, there's a house on a street, it's got a name, and that's where Jesus lives. But anyway, yeah, so he gets to the temple, and I love too at the end, at the end of chapter 21, it says when Jesus explained to the Brahmic priests the meaning of the laws. You know, he's reading their laws to them and explaining to them their meaning. It's just a beautiful thing that they recognize him as teacher, and he is teacher of this broader faith, and understands what is at the back of what their ancient scriptures tell them. I hadn't noticed manic laws before, because I didn't underline it. I have no markings around it, but that's something I want to look up because I'm not sure where that comes from, but that definitely sounds interesting and important. So maybe we'll have that as information to share for next week. And then we meet Latmas Brahmas, also one of the priests at the temple of Jagannath, and he is just entranced with Jesus, right? And I love this walk that they take, and I can just see them, you know, Latmas with his hands behind his back, you know, and they're walking, and he's like, so tell me of this. And all of the questions that he asks are these big overarching questions, right? But the answers are so simple. So let's just start with, you know, the first one. What is truth? Truth is the only thing that changes not. It is absolute. It is unchanging. It is, right? That's all there is. And then falsehood is that which seems to be. That is our perception. You know, when we look at the definition of absolute truth versus relative truth, the absolute truth is the principle of law that's unchanging. Relative truth is the truth based on our perception. And of course, that can change because as we know more and our thoughts change, we have greater experiences, then our perceptions change. So perception based on truth, or a truth based on perception, can only be relative to the point, time, and space from which we see it. But absolute truth is true for all times. And I know in my practice, like my daily walk and what I'm trying to do is always speak from a place of absolute truth. I don't get there yet. I haven't gotten there yet because I'm still not yet one with God in its ultimate deific sense that we get to a little bit later. But I think it's that striving that gets me that much closer. So, for instance, you know, we have, you know, human relations. We have your perspective, my perspective, and they'll say, well, there's like the truth is, you know, what you say, what I say, and somewhere in between. In my case, no, I'm really striving to see it from the higher perspective, to find out, like, and I'm always asking, what is the absolute truth in this situation? What is true, not just from your perspective or what I think I see, but from the greater perspective, from the higher perspective. So yeah, truth is that which changes not. Then what was the next question? Okay, yeah, what is man? And we have, you know, so truth, falsehood being that which seems to be. That's what we get from the truth we see based on our perception. Well, that's falsehood. So when Latmas then asks, what is man? Jesus' response, and I love this, man is the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. I think what speaks to me so much about that, and just, it's so, well, first it's poetry, and then that is just beautiful. But I'm also fond of saying, you know, we each have an internal truth meter, And when you hear the truth, like with the capital T, it resonates in a way that other things might not. And we each have a certain measure of truth, but it's also mixed with falsehood because we haven't yet attained that highest deific perspective. And so we look at things from our perspective, and maybe sometimes, depending on the issue, we're still in our ego and our lower self. And so we are, that balance. And so, yeah, man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed. And strangely, just the idea that it's different for each of us. The percentages are different. And they probably change from day to day, right? Because your perceptions change from day to day as you have greater experiences. So, yeah, that's just powerful. And then the next question. What do you say of power? It is a manifest. So a manifest is a result of something. It is the result of force. But it is just an illusion, nothing more. Force is the energy and will of God, right? It is omnipotent. It is all powerful. And it is pure. Power is directed by the breath. Power is directed by what we speak. And so power is going to change because it's coming through the filter of our truth and falsehood strangely mixed. That's a teaching right there. It just is. And then he goes on, of understanding. What is understanding? It is the rock on which man builds himself, right? It's the knowing of what is and what isn't. That is what understanding is. The knowing of what is and what isn't. And so Lamas comes to, and what of wisdom? What do you say? It is the consciousness that man is, that God and man are one. And that is the ultimate of wisdom. To recognize that I think, therefore I am. I am conscious of being, and that God and I together are one is the highest wisdom teaching. They also say, one with God is a majority. When you recognize that you and God are one, that is the beginning of working from the space of all-knowing. This book, sometimes I tell you what. And then Lamas asks, what is faith? Faith is the surety of the omnipotence of God and man, the surety that man will reach deific life. Faith is the surety. It is the knowing beyond knowing without a doubt, right? That the will of God and man are together joined. And that by remaining joined with God, you will reach your highest height, which is deific life. Yeah, that's just nice. And then we have, so then we talk about the ladder of salvation, which is, salvation is a ladder going from the heart of man to the heart of God. And it is 3 steps. The first step is belief. This is what you think and how you move through the world. And then you draw that together with faith, which is knowing truth to the best of your ability in that moment. Remember that God, if you align with God, then you have that faith, you have that knowing. And thirdly is fruition. That is the result of your belief and faith coming together, that you yourself will be that truth. I have so much to strive for, you know? But yeah. You know, I think we covered in an earlier set of chapters that death was an illusion, right? So my goal, or one of the things that I am striving for with my teachings, learnings, and metaphysics, is to not fall into the illusion of death, but to ascend, to reach that next plane by stepping into it, as opposed to simply falling out of this one. I mean, death is simply just an end, and well, as it's an illusion and an end. But I don't want the standard path that we've kind of been shown that this is what we follow, or that we must follow. And this is just a reminder that the whole point is to reach deific life. It is to draw closer and closer and closer to God with each step, with each experience and understanding and opportunity. I try. I hope you all will go out this week and try for the same, if that should be your intent. We will pick this up again next week. I'm excited. We have more with Jesus in India and conversations with lamas. So that was just the beginning. All right, good people. And with that, I will leave you to it, and we will pick this up next week. Have a good one. Bye.